Can we talk yellow?
Yes.
Well,
Let's talk yellow.
Let's talk yellow. These are yellows.
Here they are.
But don't be confused. There's mostly two yellows I work with. But you know, I was just thinking just a moment ago, I went back to my childhood in Terre Haute, Indiana as a kid, changing colors, the fall. And what I really loved were all the yellows, the yellow oranges, but there's like a yellow, green, gold where it's gold, but it's turning towards green, which is like one of my favorite colors because it's not quite green. It's still yellow, orange with a touch of coolness to it.
You mean green?
It's like a green gold.
Yellow?
It's like a green gold, but it's mostly yellow.
Yeah.
So it's a magical color, you know, and it's the whole idea of warmth. I look to yellow when I'm painting to lighten and brighten things. But the other thing I really like about it is the fact that it's so versatile. It's incredibly versatile and can be used to make so many other colors. Really has to be used to make so many other colors if you don't get them right out of the tube.
So yellow is one of the primary colors, right? Together with red and blue.
Correct.
And this is what you keep talking about in your workshops, that with yellow, red, and blue, a little white, you can mix many colors.
Correct.
So I wanted to start talking about, yes, yellow. And which yellows do you buy of all of these yellows?
Right.
Most of these tubes are repeats. So what are your favorite yellows?
So I just keep it very simple. I go with a cool yellow and a warm yellow. So the cool yellow would be a Hansa yellow. They sometimes call them lemon yellows. And why is it cool? Well, on the light spectrum, if you're looking at the light spectrum, that part of the spectrum of yellow is going towards yellow, green, or green, so that's cool. And then part of that same yellow spectrum is heading towards yellow, orange, orange, and red, so that's the warm. That's why we call it.
So not all yellows are the same.
Not at all. There's a whole bunch of yellows. And here's the thing. When you go into an art store and you're confronted with 20 tubes of yellow, why do I only stick with 2 or 3 yellows? Well, because I can mix with a touch of red, for instance, a lot of deeper yellow. So, you know, you can get Cad Yellow Deep, for instance. I'll take a Cad Yellow or even a Cad Yellow Medium, and by adding a small amount of either red, warm or cool red, I can get some really deep, beautiful yellows.
So how did you come up with, okay, I'm going to work with Cad Yellow Light and Cad Yellow Medium? Like, how did you choose those?
I call them workhorse. There's certain workhorse colors.
Did you choose them, or someone taught you, these are the ones that work the
Well,
best?
I learned as a student many years ago, but through experimentation too, which is why we choose the colors we choose. I mean, artists choose their own make their own personal palette based on experience over years. It tends to take over. It tends to overwhelm if you're using it, you know, kind of raw or straight from the tube in the paintings. So it's always, in my paintings, has to be altered. Rarely do I use yellow right from the tube in any of my paintings. It's just, it takes over. It's the most intense of the colors. I can use straight red in a painting, I can use straight blue in a painting, but if I use straight yellow, the eye goes right to it. And that's interesting because in the light spectrum, it's the one band or array of color that the eye goes to immediately. It could be seen.
It's the lightest in the spectrum.
So that's why if I use it in a painting straight up, it's going to be a touch of it. Normally, I just have to kick it down in order, and I still use it as an accent, you see, but now I'm not going to have large areas of bright yellow. However, if I add a fair amount of white to it and really make it more pale, I can use it all over the place. And when you think about it, when I use natural papers, like all my ephemera, old letters and things like that, that's basically coming out of yellow.
We wouldn't say yellow paper, yellows, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We say a yellow paper. So I love those kinds of yellows because they're faded and they're old and they have a sense of rich history about them. So that's a different part of it. Yeah. So here's what I have here. I've got the Hansa Yellow by itself.
Light.
Hansa Yellow Light, which is a very cool color. And then I have a Cad Yellow Medium.
Okay, so Hansa Yellow Light and Cad Yellow Medium.
Right.
Hansa Yellow Light is the cool yellow, and the Cad Yellow Medium is the warm yellow.
Right.
And then Mark is going to mix it with Ultramarine Blue.
Right, to show the difference of the two greens that you can get and why one gives you. And here's the point of doing this right now, is to help artists just to know that in order to understand what a given color can or cannot do and why these two yellows are different, it's important to experiment and throw different colors. So throw the same blue into both yellows, throw a red into both yellows, throw other colors into both yellows, and see how, even white, and see how different they are.
Right.
And that's the reason we're doing this.
Yeah, because sometimes you want to achieve a certain green,
and
but it might be that you're not having the
right yellow
or the right blue. So you have to start experimenting. But today we're going to talk about yellow. So let's jump into this.
Let's do this. All right. So let's see what happens with these two yellows. One is the Hansa Yellow Light. That's this cool yellow right here. You can even see the difference. This one's darker. So here it is straight. That's the Hansa Yellow Light on white paper. And then we're going to put next to it. And I can already see, because of the light play in my studio, that's already moving towards a yellow-green just by itself. You see? Here is the Cad Yellow Medium. Much richer.
Big difference.
Much warmer. Huge difference between these. I look at this as sort of an acidic, almost electric yellow. And so I use it.
This to me is like a lemon, and this to me is like a sunflower.
Yes, or a lemon in the shadows.
Maybe.
Because our perception of color is...
our
perception of color is always based on the light. Anyway, let's get into this. So here we're going to, just a touch of blue. Now I want to make sure I'm using the same amount of blue in each one. So I'm going to try to make sure it's equal, you know what I mean? All right, and I want to make sure I have
without getting to perfection.
Without getting down a rabbit hole too much, but I want to make sure that our...
All right, let's see it.
Okay, so here's a little bit of blue into this yellow, and I'm going to create a tertiary color, which is a yellow green, all right, just to show the difference. So there's just a touch of that, make a thorough mix, and that's the green I get. Okay, that's a yellow green. Okay. It's not a secondary green. I'm going to use roughly the same amount of blue as an experiment into this yellow. And again, it is about the same amount of blue. And this is also a yellow green. It's a tertiary color, not a secondary color.
Not to get too complicated right now, but in the future videos we can explain what is a secondary and tertiary color. But now let's just see.
Here we go. Look at the difference here.
Yellow. Oh, look at
that. Big difference. Same blue, about the same amount. And you'll see that this is much more vivid or saturated or intense. I look at it as somewhat acidic. And this one is much more muted as a green. And I could, if I threw a little red into this, it would actually give me that similar color, just because. So there it is, the difference between two yellows.
Beautiful.
You could also, by the way, see the difference of them, once again, by what happens when you add just a small touch of white to each one. What happens? If I add a small amount of white into this lemon yellow, this is the color I get with a small amount of white. Adding white to your colors is really important. That's why I'm doing this really quickly. To see, they show their, when you add small amounts of white into color, Marija, it really kind of shows its character in a different way.
Its true color?
It's not about, no, it shows, it shows its name. Yeah, right, good pun. So look at the difference. I mean, really quite different. And that's why it's important to show that as well. You can see the difference. This one is leaning towards a pale yellow-green, and this one's leaning, as you said, did you say sunflower?
Sunflower.
Yeah, into that realm. And there you have it. But look how beautiful they are together as a family. All right, so having done that quick little demo, do you have any thoughts or questions to wrap this up?
Well, I just think right now when I saw this, it's just like, oh, let me try this and let me try that.
Put my fingers in there.
Yeah, so I think this can be a really excited experiment.
Yeah?
Yes. If the light permits, so you're going to have a little bit of reflection.
There we go. Playing with the yellow.
So what do you think of giving artists a little homework to dig through your yellows? I'm sure you have a similar situation.
I'm just a hoarder. That's why I have that. I'm just a hoarder.
So what about a
hoard my
homework
yellows.
to dig through your yellows and maybe find a few tubes of different yellows that you have.
Right.
And then choose one color that you would like, any blue or any red, and then start adding try to add the same amount of that one color that you chose into different yellows to see.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like we have to be a little bit of a scientist.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah, we have to
figure
experiment.
out how a certain color
Right.
works.
And also, yes, small amounts of white, black. Try small amounts of black. You'll get some beautiful greens.
Yes.
Try your different blues, your different reds. And then a longer story later on is its complements, the violets. If you throw violets into yellow, you get a whole other
Down the
range.
road.
Down the road. But so yeah, that's why I say yellow's
Yes,
so
you know.
versatile. That's why I love it.
Yeah.
It's so versatile. Its conjunction, its admixtures with all the other colors creates this incredible world. You can't say that about all the other colors, but you can say that about yellow. I'll leave it on
Okay,
that.
I'll just one quick thing. Do you know off the top of your head of any artists who were good at using yellows or
who
loved
yeah.
working with yellows?
Yes, really
Give us a few
quickly,
names.
really quickly. Go to the Renaissance and you look at Giotto, wonderful. Also, gold leaf was used a lot, which is a form of yellow for spirituality. Then moving through history, I think of Turner, the English painter of landscapes and seascapes. He used it in the sky quite a bit for light. I think of Gauguin and Van Gogh, who also used yellow.
The sunflowers.
Yeah, the sunflowers, and Gauguin would throw yellow into trees. I mean, he would, check out Gauguin, he'd just throw it in the craziest of places. Who else comes to mind? There's this contemporary artist, Wolfgang Lieb, who works with pollen. He collects pollen from plants, lots of it, and then makes these minimal sculpture relief, well, I guess they're reliefs. He sifts it onto the floor in the shape of a square. And then in a slightly darkened room, imagine with the gallery light on it, it's just that you walk into this room, it's this radiant rectangle of yellow. So,
which ones are
L-A-I-B.
your favorite yellows? Artists that you like who work with yellows? If you experiment with different kinds of yellows and discover something new, share with us. We'll see you next time with either a blue or a red. We'll figure it out.
ciao. Think yellow.